a few things to talk about this week, but I'll kick it off with something that's going on in the WWE product right now that's really been bugging me, and ever since they started doing it, I'm going to make it like the major focal point of my WWE discussion for today's video. Especially after watching this week's Raw, I just have to ask the question, why did they break up the Wyatt family? Like, seriously, what was the point? First of all, the breakup itself didn't get an angle or any kind of storyline progression or character progression for Rowan, Harper, or Bray. It was just, it was like they just magically decided one day, it's like, no, we're not going to do this anymore, and they aired a couple vignettes explaining it as best they could, and now they're all off doing their own separate things when, you know, they're not really that different from what they were before. And Rowan and Harper are probably going to get lost in the shuffle at some point. Sooner or later, they're going to, like, just be left with nothing. Because right now, Rowan is doing the exact same thing he was doing before, only now he's stalking Renee Young, which I don't blame him, because Renee Young is adorable. I just have to say, she is just as cute as a button, but it seems rather like, why does he have to be out of the Wyatt family to do an angle like this? Why did you have to put away this gimmick that people were really liking, the stable that was really over, and was really benefiting everybody involved? It just doesn't seem. I'm not seeing the grand plan here in splitting them up and like the major benefit that would come out of that. Harper, it's like, alright, he changed his clothes and he's doing creepy promos and now he's going to be on Team Authority for Survivor Series, which, okay, fine, but he's not that much different from what he was before. And Bray's the exact same thing, basically. He's a cult leader, only now he doesn't have a cult. And he's trying to lure Dean Ambrose into his cult, which doesn't exist. Because he set them free, because they're fixed, even though they're exactly the same as they were before. So, to me, like, them breaking up the Wyatt family was a huge misstep, and was completely unnecessary. And if they'd felt like they'd, you know, ruined the Wyatt family, I can tell you what did it is the fact that they lost almost every week. And, you know, they got fed to John Cena, and they got fed to the Usos. They couldn't beat them for whatever reason. You know, you have a big three-man faction like that really gets over. I mean, my first inkling would not be to job them out every week. And it got to a point, especially during the summer, where it felt like they were losing more than they were winning, and that really halted their momentum, and now we're left with what we have now. And I'm not saying, like, any of the things that they're doing with them individually is terrible. I'm just saying I'm not seeing what the point was in splitting them up, because you could theoretically do all of these things with them and still have the Wyatt family together. That's just my take on the matter, but especially with Bray, it really hurts him because, again, his whole gimmick is that he's a cult leader and now he doesn't have a cult, so it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. I think a feud with Dean Ambrose could be really good. I think they at least have a nugget of an idea to make the whole thing make sense, and I think both characters are playing off of each other at least somewhat well, but I think him not having the muscle of Harper and Rowan backing him up kind of takes away from it a little bit. But that's just something I wanted to throw out there, because WWE, they just love to break up stables and tag teams long before it's time to do so. I mean, I remember when they broke up the Primetime Players, I was like, well, what the hell was the point of that? And ultimately it amounted to nothing, so it kind of makes me wish they'd never broken them up. And the Primetime Players were not a huge thing. It was just a nice little tag team act to have to kind of fill out the tag team division, and splitting them up left them with nothing. So, again, what was the point? That's kind of what I'm saying here. What is the point of splitting them up? I don't understand, but it's, you know, they're going to do what they want to do, and, you know, whatever. Couple other quick things, and again, this is going to be a shorter video, but I do want to get these things out there. Global Force Wrestling has some interesting news out there, which I thought, you know, really caught my eye when I heard about it. They're going to be presenting the New Japan Dome show on January 4th. to an American audience, and JR is going to be the commentator for it, and that sounds very interesting, and it would be great to hear JR's voice calling a wrestling show again, and I'm interested in checking it out, and I don't know what the future holds for Global Force Wrestling. I think when a lot of us heard that Jarrett was doing another promotion, we all just kind of thought in our head, it's like, oh, it's going to be TNA Part 2, and, you know, hopefully, best case scenario, they won't have the shitty booking that ultimately hurt TNA, but, you know, he's making all these deals with New Japan and AAA, and, you know, really wanting, it appears anyway, to create a global presence in the wrestling scene and make partnerships with all these other promotions. And I think that's a really cool idea, and I think it's really interesting, and you get different, you know, you do get all the different styles and flavors of all the different international wrestling promotions with that kind of approach. I don't know, again, I don't know ultimately what the game plan is or what the future holds for this promotion, but this is the first thing that they've done that's really kind of caught my attention. I was like, oh, that's fascinating. I'll be willing to check that out. I'll give it a chance, and hopefully it pans out well. And, you know, again, more wrestling is better for American audiences. I mean, obviously TNA is on its last legs. I mean, I can't imagine TNA lasting to 2015. I don't see it, and I haven't seen anything to convince me that it's going to survive into 2015, but we'll see. We shall see. But, you know, even if it does survive into 2015, TNA's just been so devalued and so just marred by bad business decisions and its own horrible booking that the show is just, it feels like I'm on the rare occasion that I do watch TNA, it feels like I'm watching nothing. Like, just nothing of intrigue is going on. It's just a directionless mess, and Global Force Wrestling will hopefully help fill the wrestling void that TNA did fill for a few years when it was good. But you know, any wrestling that we can get outside of the WWE, I think, is a good thing, because when you only get one thing, you know, that to me is just boring. I like variety, and I like different flavors and different approaches to things, and to get a different approach to what the WWE does, I would really enjoy. So if Global Force has some kind of a grand plan in place, and, you know, they got all these working relationships, I hope they're able to do something cool with it, because, again, I'm always in favor of new wrestling and things, you know, evolving and changing and getting different things. So we'll see how that goes. One last thing I did want to talk about briefly, NXT. I really enjoyed last week's show. I thought the debut of Prince Devitt, who will be known as Finn Balor in NXT, was executed very, very well. And they really did treat him like it was a big star coming in. And even if you don't know who Prince Devitt is, and I'm not going to pretend that I've followed his entire career and I know everything about him. I've only seen him wrestle about 5 or 6 times. But, you know, even if you don't know who he is, they treated it like it was a big deal. And because they did, that's what made it interesting. And if you know who he is, it's even better. So I thought that whole segment came off very, very well, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he's able to do with Kenta in a tag team. I think they could really do some great stuff together, and I think the whole angle with the Ascension is really good. So yeah, NXT, they do good work. I like the Divas match that was on the show, Bayley and Charlotte and Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch. I mean, once again, good women's wrestling on that show. You know, you can't fault them for that. And Tyler Breeze and Sami Zayn had another good match. Nowhere near as good as their TakeOver match, but still a solid match. And it sets up Sami and Neville for, I think, this tomorrow night's show for the NXT title. And that's coming a little quick. I thought maybe they'd save it for the TakeOver special in December. But again, well, I haven't read the spoilers, so I don't know ultimately what they're going to do. But it'll be exciting to see that match. NXT does good work. And I just wish the WWE would follow suit with their main shows like Raw. And actually, you know, to be fair, I mean, Raw is filling 3 hours, and it's kind of hard to do. NXT is only 1 hour, and because of that, I don't see all the same characters every week. I don't see the same matches recycled week after week after week. It's just, it doesn't feel like I'm watching the exact same show every week, and that definitely helps and makes NXT a more fun wrestling product to watch. But, you know, I'm going to keep praising NXT until the cows come home. But, yeah, that's all I have for now. I will have another video out for you next week. Hope you all enjoy your weekend. And until then, peace out, everybody.